the 27th of March 2025. This is a brand new edition of Newsfirst's Primetime News, bringing you the news tonight for the Newsfirst team. I am Jayamal Ratnayaka.
And I'm Naveksha Gunasekara. Here are your headlines for tonight.
Three corrupt deals. Chamara Sampath arrested and placed under remand custody. Two judges recused themselves from Naumal's Krish case. ASP Udugampala acquitted from Millennium City case. Bizarre procedure was put in place to import large stocks of substandard medicine from overseas. Revelations at the COPE committee hearings.
In tonight's top story, parliamentarian Chamara Sampath, who was arrested by the Bribery Commission today for his involvement in acts of corruption during his tenure as the Chief Minister of the Uva province, was remanded until the 1st of April after he was produced before Colombo Chief Magistrate Tanuja Lakmali. He was produced before the Chief Magistrate under 3 separate acts of corruption. He was granted bail in 2 of the matters and placed under remand custody for the 3rd.
Parliamentarian Chamara Sampath Dasanayaka was summoned to the Bribery Commission at about 9:30 a.m. today to record a statement. He was subsequently arrested. When parliamentarian Chamara Sampath was produced in court today, it was revealed that during his tenure as the Chief Minister of the Uva province, 2 loans of 10 million and 25 million rupees had been obtained from 2 state banks for the purpose of distributing bags among school students. It was revealed that this money had been credited to the account maintained by the Chamara Sampath Fund and not to the account of the Uva Provincial Council. Officers investigating the matter informed court that thereby the suspect MP had committed penal offences including criminal breach of trust and criminal misappropriation and also several offences under the Bribery Act. The investigating officers informed court that investigations into the incident are still ongoing and the suspect MP had already influenced witnesses and therefore he should be placed under remand custody. Appearing for MP Chamara Sampath, President's Counsel Anuja Premaratna made lengthy submissions and sought bail for his client. President's Counsel Anuja Premaratna stressed that these allegations have been maliciously levelled against his client by Samantha Vidyaratna, who is a current cabinet minister. The President's Counsel stressed that arresting the suspect 9 years after the initial investigations into the incident began is an act to exact political revenge. Investigating officers informed court that investigations are also being carried out into the withdrawal of 6 fixed deposits maintained by the Uva Provincial Council from a state bank after the bank had refused to sponsor a program to provide bags to school children, resulting in the loss of 173 million rupees to the council. The officers informed court that the suspect had attempted to influence the manager of the said bank. After considering the facts, the Chief Magistrate ordered the investigating officers to conclude the investigations expeditiously and submit a report to court. The Chief Magistrate also placed parliamentarian Chamara Sampath under remand custody until the 1st of April.
Colombo High Court Judge Manjula Tilakaratne has recused himself from the ongoing case against Namal Rajapaksa, who is accused of misappropriating 70 million rupees. The case is scheduled to be heard on the 21st of May under a different judge.
Colombo High Court Judge Manjula Tilakaratne announced his decision to step down from the case, citing concerns over social media comments made by senior journalist Sanat Balasuriya and Poddala Jayantha. Based on these comments, the judge noted that it has led to a perception of bias in the public eye. Translated excerpt from the High Court judge's statement. Quote,
"The Registrar of the High Court informed me that Sanath Balasurya and Podala Jayantha had made certain statements on Facebook regarding this case and my involvement. Following this notification, I instructed the Registrar to submit a detailed report, which I received on the 18th of February. The report indicated that the statements circulated on Facebook were false. It is necessary to investigate whether these statements have brought disrepute to the judiciary, but it is not appropriate for me to conduct this investigation. Therefore, it is essential for another suitable High Court judge to consider this matter. Additionally, these statements have created a public perception that this court may not deliver fair justice in this case. Although this court has the full capacity to ensure justice is served, I have decided to recuse myself to maintain the integrity of the judicial process. Despite the false nature of these statements, they have influenced public opinion, leading to a belief that justice may not be properly administered by this court. Consequently, I have decided not to continue with this case."
End quote. The case has been referred to Colombo Chief High Court Judge Aditya Pattabandige for the appointment of a new judge. Judge Sujit Nishankar was initially appointed but declined to hear the case due to personal reasons. Consequently, the case will be referred back to Chief Judge Pattabandige for the appointment of another suitable judge.
4 suspects have been remanded until the 1st of April in connection with the assault on a security guard at a nightclub in Kompanya. The suspects were presented before the 4th Magistrates Court this afternoon.
The assault occurred on the 20th of March at a nightclub on Park Street, Union Place, where Yoshitha Rajapaksa, son of former President Mahinda Rajapaksa, and his wife were present with several others. According to police reports, the altercation began when the Rajapaksa couple refused to wear identification wristbands required for entry into the nightclub. This led to a confrontation between those accompanying the Rajapaksas with the security guard, who was subsequently assaulted. The suspects were arrested yesterday by the Colombo Central Crimes Investigation Bureau after providing statements regarding the incident. Previously, the investigation was led by the Kompanya Police and later handed over to the Colombo Central Crimes Investigation Bureau. Yoshitha Rajapaksa and his wife provided statements to the Kompanya Police yesterday regarding the incident.
Colombo High Court Judge Aditya Pattabandige today ordered the acquittal of former Assistant Superintendent of Police Kulasiri Udugampola, who was accused of revealing sensitive information about military intelligence officers residing at the Millennium City housing complex. In delivering the verdict, Judge Pattabandige stated the prosecution had failed to prove charges against Udugampola beyond reasonable doubt.
What was the Millennium City incident? On the 5th of December 2001, the United National Front, led by Ranil Wickremesinghe, won the general election, defeating President Chandrika Bandaranayake Kumaratunga's party. A few days after the new government was established, on the 2nd of January 2002, a police team led by Assistant Superintendent of Police Kulasiri Udugampola raided a house at the Millennium City complex in Aturgiriya. The raid resulted in the seizure of a cache of weapons and the arrest of several individuals. The raid was conducted under the direction of ASP Udugampola, who was then in charge of the Kandy Police Kennel Division. However, it was later revealed that the raided location was a safe house maintained by the Directorate of Military Intelligence, or the DMI, of the Sri Lanka Army, specifically for the Long Range Reconnaissance Patrol Unit, also known as the LRRP. Among those arrested were Captain Mohammed Nilam and 5 other members of the LRRP unit, along with 2 civilians. The exposure of the intelligence officers and the safe house led to significant controversy and raised serious concerns about national security. Critics argued that the lives of the military intelligence officers were endangered due to the exposure. What legal actions were taken? In response to the Millennium City raid, the Attorney General filed 22 charges against ASP Kulasiri Udugampola. These charges included actions detrimental to the security and welfare of the Republic of Sri Lanka, gathering information about military intelligence officers and their operations, and compromising national security. What was revealed during the trial? During the trial, it was revealed that ASP Kulasiri Udugampala had been appointed by the then Inspector General of Police to investigate the infamous Udatalavinna massacre. The massacre, which occurred on the 5th of December 2001, involved the killing of 10 individuals and was linked to former State Defence Minister General Anuruddha Ratwatte. It was disclosed that ASP Udugampala had surrounded the Millennium City housing complex based on information that Chanuka Ratwatte, a son of Anuruddha Ratwatte, was hiding there. High Court Judge Aditya Patabendige, in delivering the judgment, stated that ASP Udugampala had not acted beyond his authority. Translated excerpt from the judgment of the High Court.
Quote, it was revealed through evidence that at the time of the raid, ASP Udugampala was unaware that the house he was inspecting was a military safe house. He only learnt about this after conducting inquiries at the housing complex office, where he discovered that the house was occupied by military personnel. Subsequently, he went to the Narahempita Military Police Headquarters, obtained assistance from the officers there, and proceeded to inspect the house in Atrugiriya with their support. Unquote.
The judge highlighted that the then Secretary of Defence had refused to issue detention orders for the arrested military personnel, indicating that ASP Udugampala had acted in good faith. The judge emphasized that there was no evidence to suggest that Udugampala had disclosed sensitive information that threatened national security. Translated excerpt from the judgment of the High Court.
Quote, in relation to this case, former heads of military intelligence, retired Majors General Kapila Hendavitarana and Suresh Saleh, along with Staff Sergeant Premananda Udalagama, provided testimony. It appears that their testimonies were given with the intention of protecting the arrested military officers. However, their testimonies did not reveal any evidence necessary to substantiate the charges relevant to this case. Unquote.
Despite claims that the raid had endangered several military intelligence personnel, the judge stated that there was no evidence to confirm that sensitive information was disclosed due to Udugampala's actions. The judge also noted that Udugampala had based his investigations on information about potential attacks on a campaign rally of Ranil Wickremesinghe, the leader of the United National Party at the time. Although the prosecution argued that this was hearsay, the judge pointed out that such information had been reported in the media during that period. After analyzing all the evidence before him, the judge concluded that ASP Udugampala's actions were lawful and acquitted him of all charges. After 22 years, justice has been served by an exemplary judge. The judgment was clear and impartial. I have never been accused of any wrongdoing by my superiors and have always performed my duties diligently.
Will justice be served regarding the crimes revealed by the Batalanda Commission report? The report is now tabled in Parliament and a debate is scheduled for the 10th of April. Former Army officer Indrananda De Silva, an eyewitness to the Batalanda torture chamber, reveals that Douglas Pires, the police officer responsible, is still alive. The claim that Douglas Pires died abroad is a complete fabrication. He is very much alive and hiding in Sri Lanka. If Douglas Pires is arrested today, it could lead to the arrest of Ranil Wickremesinghe tomorrow, as Douglas Pires is a central figure connected to these crimes. I am fully prepared to reveal the information I possess. After being granted bail by the Court of Appeal, he fled the country and later spread false propaganda claiming he had died overseas. This is an outright lie. He is now evading arrest despite being on bail. Why is he still not being apprehended even after all this has been revealed?
Tissa Palipana. who later testified before the Batlanda Commission, was once a Buddhist monk. On the 31st of January 1989, while near the Manilwada temple in Bollagala, Kalania, where his relative, Venerable Khan Kulame Dharmakirti Thera, served as the chief incumbent, he was abducted by an armed group in a van. He was taken to the infamous Batlanda torture camp, located about 6 kilometers away. There, he was held in a house, brutally beaten and interrogated. Palipana told the commission that he was forcibly disrobed, stripped naked and kicked, and also burnt him. He also testified that a woman, later identified as female Sub-Inspector Padmini Premalata, took part in the assault. Tissa Palipana was eventually released after several days following an appeal made by the chief incumbent of the temple to a senior government politician at the time. He later left the monastic order and distanced himself from temple life. But even decades later, these haunting truths remain unresolved. Are these not crimes? Shouldn't justice finally be served?
News First with the people.
News First, main sponsor.
Tokyo Super, ඕන super.
Every day, millions face the impossible. What happens when clean water feels out of reach? When an entire village is left helpless? When it seemed like no one is listening, Gammatha saw the need. Gammatha took action and a community fought back. A water purification system for a village that once had none. Gammatha, for the people, by the people.
ගමේ නගරේ දේශපාලනයේ හෙට දවස සතිය දිනවල සවස 6:00
Get me Moira now.
Aquarius. Oh, what a baby.
Prefect. Saturday and Sunday at 6:30 p.m. on TV1.
In the heart of Anamadua, lives are changing. For years, patients traveled miles for life-saving treatments, but not anymore. Gammatha renovated a building to establish a dialysis unit at the Anamadua Base Hospital and constructed another building to house a medical-grade water purification system. Gammatha, for the people, by the people.
Welcome back to the news. The Committee on Public Enterprise, also known as COPE, has uncovered a bizarre procedure adopted by health authorities in Sri Lanka, specifically targeted to facilitate the import of substandard medicine in large quantities into the country, while the general public were being battered by the adversities of the economic crisis.
When officials of the National Medicines Regulatory Commission or the NMRA were summoned before COPE yesterday, information disclosed revealed how this bizarre procedure to import substandard medicine to Sri Lanka was adopted.
Current and former members of the National Medicines Regulatory Authority were summoned before the COPE committee yesterday. A cabinet paper presented in 2022 had informed the cabinet at the time that there was a massive shortage of medicine in Sri Lanka and therefore sought permission from the cabinet of ministers to import medicine into the country outside the accepted procedure. At the COPE hearing yesterday, it was revealed that the NMRA had already been importing medicine into the country outside of the accepted procedure several months before the cabinet paper was even tabled. The NMRA has the power to approve the import of medicine that have not been registered, but this can only be done under the supervision of the committee set up for that purpose. However, the NMRA had even disregarded this committee in 2022 and established a special procedure based on the whims and fancies of the CEO of the NMRA to import medicine into Sri Lanka outside the accepted procedure. What you are saying is that until the month of May, there was no special procedure. What was the need behind establishing this special pathway? The cabinet paper is dated the 25th of the 10th month, but you have adopted this procedure in the 9th month, stating that you need a special pathway. Now this is bizarre. You have highlighted the fact that there is a massive medicine shortage in the country and that we will run out of medicine in 3 weeks using the cabinet paper. Even before this matter was highlighted in the cabinet paper, you were aware of it.
කලින් ඔබතුමාලා දැනුවත් වෙන්නලා තියෙනවා. මේ පාත් එක හදන්න කියලා ස්පෙෂල් පාත් එක හදන්න කියලා කවුද ඉන්ස්ට්‍රක්ට් කරේ මම අහන්නේ.
ඒක කලෙක්ටිව් ඩිසිෂන් එකක්. ඒක මගේ තීරණයක් නෙමෙයි.
ඒ කලෙක්ටිව් ඩිසිෂන් එකේ කවුද හිටියේ කියලා තමයි අහන්නේ.
අමාත්‍යාංශයෙන් පටන් ගත්තාම මේ සියලුම නිලධාරීන් ඊට පස්සේ
Doctor, this is a simple answer. The chairman asked you if you were told to do this by the minister, the MSD, or were you told by someone else? Did you get the instructions in writing, or did someone whisper them into your ear? That is what the chairman asked you. Please answer that specific question. If not, you accept responsibility.
නිශ්චිත උත්තරය දෙන්නකෝ. එහෙම නැත්නම් ඔබතුමා වකින් බාර ගන්න. ඔබතුමා කියන්නේ නැත්නම් ඕක. අපිට තීරණය කරන්න වෙන්නේ.
If you are not going to tell us about this, we will have to presume that this discussion began from the letter dated 2nd of the 9th month. You had requested the secretary to grant permission for this, and the secretary grants permission. However, the procedure is only seen on the 12th. Permission had already been granted on the 2nd according to the minutes. I don't know how he granted permission for this without even seeing the procedure.
Permission දුන්නේ කියලා procedure එකක් නොදෙන.
The members of the former regulatory commission had told the CEO, and I'm sorry to say this to the COPE committee, but the parliament must know about this. They go to the CEO and tell him that the board has informed them not to go ahead with this procedure, and they asked him what to do. The CEO is here today. He had told these officials that despite what anyone says, we have the power to do this, and informed them to go ahead with this. This is there on the statement. These officials have said that they were asked to adopt this procedure without examining any documents.
මේවා කරගෙන යන්න උපදෙස් දුන්නා කියලා මිලදාරින් කියලා තියෙනවා.
ඔව් කියනවනේ ඒ වෙලාවේ මම කිසිම ලිඛිත මේකක් දුන්නේ නැහැ මම අවසරයක් දීලා නැහැ. වාචික වක්කත් මට මතක නැහැ මන් දීලා නැහැ. මතක නැහැ. මන් දීලා නැහැ. එහෙම අවසරයක් කවදාවත් දීලා නැහැ.
මේක නවත්තන්න කිව්වෙන් පස්සේ මේ
After he was informed to stop this, the CEO of the NMRA, Dr. Vijit Gunasekara, had written a letter by hand and forwarded it to the Secretary of the Ministry of Health via email. That email states that the Director Board had asked him to stop this and he had requested permission to continue this procedure. He then gets down a letter from the Secretary to the Ministry permitting him to continue this procedure.
Again, ලියුම ආපහු මේක කරගෙන යන්න දෙන්න කියලා.
මම එහෙම ඊමේල් උත්තරයක් දීලා නැහැ.
ලේකම්තුමාට ඒ ආපු ඊමේල් එකට ඔබතුමා පිළිතුරු දුන්නද?
බලන්න ඕන පරීක්ෂා කරන්න මට.
බලන්න ඔබතුමා දැන් බලන්නකෝ ඒක. බලලා දැන් කියන්න සභාවට.
ඒකට උත්තරයක් කියවලා තියෙනවා. මේ විදිහට කරන්න කියලා ඒ ලියුමම අසංක ලියවලා තියෙනවා.
මේ චේන් එකම ගියපු විදිහට.
Now this chain of messages is clear to all of us. All of this information is with the representative of the Treasury. The former chairman does not know about this. The former CEO does not know about this. The former secretary of the ministry also does not know about this. All of them do not know anything about this. We don't know if they got this advice from a former president. Did you get this from a newspaper? Do not take this as a joke. The responsibility placed on the secretary of the ministry is not a simple one. This is a question as to if the medicine brought down under this procedure could harm the lives of the people of the country. When the board puts out a clear statement that the members of the board cannot bear any responsibility with regard to the medicine that is imported like this, and if this permission is granted exempting the supervision of the committee appointed for it, how can the NMRA be a responsible institution? The question that we have now is how did this specific company get its name into this? Can the secretary give us his thoughts on this?
ලේකම්තුමා අදහසක්.
තරම දැන් ඔය මේ සැපෙන් කරු මම දැකලවත් නැහැ කවදාවත්. ඔය සැපෙන් කරු තමයි මම හිතන්නේ ගරු ඇමතුමාට යෝජනාවක් දීලා තිබුණේ.
අන්න හරි. ඔන්න ඔතෙන්ට කැබිනට් පේපර් එක හදන්නේ කවුද?
කැබිනට් පේපර් එක හදන්නේ අතිරේක ලේකම්.
ඔබතුමා සම්බන්ධ වෙන්නේ නැද්ද?
මේ පේපර් එක හදන එකට මගේ සම්බන්ධයක් නැහැ. ඒ සැවරිට් ආයතනය සම්බන්ධයෙන් අන්සොලිසිටඩ් ප්‍රොපෝසල් එකක් හදන්න කියලා ලේකම්තුමාගේ උපදෙස් ලැබුණා.
ඔබතුමාට ඔය කම්පැනි ඇතුළත් කරන්න උපදෙස් දුන්නේ කවුද? ලේකම්තුමාට උපදෙස් දුන්නේ කවුද? ඒ කවුද නම?
කෙහෙලිය රම්බුක්කල්.
ආමාත්‍ය කෙහෙලිය රම්බුක්කල්.
ඔබතුමා කියවනේ දන්නේ නැහැ කියලා මේක.
Meanwhile, US Ambassador to Sri Lanka Julie Chung met with the Chairman and General Secretary of the United National Party at the party headquarters today. Party Chairman Wajira Bewardena said that the discussion focused on the future of the United National Party.
We have a very good relationship, and we continue to do with each government in Sri Lanka. But as I said, it's not partisan. We support the people of Sri Lanka.
ඒක ඇමරිකා එක්සත් ජනපදයේ ශවින්ද සිල්වා මහතාට ප්‍රථමයෙන් සැන්ක්ෂන් පනවලා තිබ්බා. දැන් ජනරජයේ පනවලා තියෙන ඒ පිළිබඳව යම් හෝ කාරණයක් කතා වුණාද?
මම හිතන්නේ ඒ සම්බන්ධයෙන් අපි කරුණු කාරණා කතා කරේ නෑ. බැලුවේ එක්සත් ජාතික පක්ෂයත් රටත් කොහොමද අනාගතයේ අපි ක්‍රියා කරන්නේ. ඒ වගේම අපේ රටවල් දෙක අතරේ දීර්ඝ කාලයක් තිබෙන මිත්‍රත්වය තවදුරටත් තහවුරු කරගෙන ඉදිරියට ගමන් කරන්න කියලා.
Dr. P. Nandalal Veerasinghe, Governor of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka, speaking at the Invest Sri Lanka Capital Market Forum 2025 in Colombo, emphasized the importance of expanding the capital market to facilitate the growth and development of state-owned enterprises and large corporates.
State-owned business entities as well as large corporates, they should be able to raise capital for their future expansion and development through the capital market. So while keeping the state ownership is one thing, but having public ownership means offering public opportunity to diversify into public ownership from the state ownership. I think when you look at Sri Lankan state ownership, Sri Lankan state owns a large, huge stock of the assets. Over several decades of taxpayer money being funded and develop this thing, I think this opportunity. Even this good for the market developments, capital market developments. You need big state-owned enterprises be listed in the capital market that will provide more opportunities, that will bring in governance and all the important governance measures into state-owned enterprise businesses. This is my personal view. I'm sure government also indicated their willingness to basically provide that opportunities for public ownership compared to state ownership, while keeping certain amount of state ownership, but offering that part to public is the right move in my view. I think that's where you will have opportunities. But from the other side, investor point of view, if you look at Sri Lankan investors, general public, what are the investment opportunities for the public available in Sri Lanka? It's still, as I said, a lot of even people, whatever their savings, they invest in fixed deposits or something in the banking sector. The reason that because they don't have that much of diverse investment opportunities, this is again an important element, important feature that we need to try going forward. For people to invest their savings into diverse investment opportunities. Here in Sri Lanka, if you look at the public sector, they have a social safety in terms of kind of government pension. As large public sector, they don't have this kind of safety net. The only way that these people, for their senior citizens or ages, is to whatever savings they have, they would usually come in the bank and deposit and trying to live out of the interest income. That is not sustainable. That's where capital market developments, offering more opportunities for regulated capital products is important. And this is where, because there is a lack of investment opportunities in different diverse instruments, people get into scams, people get into pyramid schemes, people get into unauthorized deposit-taking businesses, and people lose their money because under normal, this kind of multiple cycles, obviously market interest rates can't be very high, can never be double digit if we maintain inflation of 5%. So we have to have a situation where people get used to relatively low banking interest rates. Then what are the opportunities for these people to invest their savings and earn higher return for their living going forward, or for them to be able to have a reasonable high return? Even if you look at large institutional investors like EPF, so we manage the EPF. Right now, almost 95% of EPF, we don't have options, only to invest in government securities. So, but if the fiscal consolidation path going forward, I don't think EPF will have challenge going forward to invest the savings of the private sector, huge, largest fund in Sri Lanka. But if we move into a capital market, right now the size of the capital market, or right of stock market, if we move in 1%, there will be overheating of the market. So we need much more diversified, liquid, lot of, the companies listed, good companies listed, even state-owned companies listed, then that will provide opportunities for investment funds like EPF to diversify opportunities that will provide opportunities for the market as well as for the retirees or for savings of the people for us to be able to give better returns.
The International Monetary Fund has said that Sri Lanka's economic recovery is gaining momentum. Julie Kozak, director of the IMF's Communications Department, noted reforms in Sri Lanka are bearing fruit.
Thank you, Julie, for taking my questions. My question is on Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka's central bank governor has also suggested that the heavily indebted state-owned enterprises should be listed in the Colombo Stock Exchange as part of a program to reform these enterprises. What is the IMF's take on such a proposal, given that the program also calls for extensive reforms in SOEs? At the same time, $334 million was approved by the IMF Executive Board recently. Has that tranche been given to Sri Lanka? If not, why? Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions on Sri Lanka? Online? Okay, let me take this question on Sri Lanka. So first, let me just step back on Sri Lanka. First, I'll say that on Friday, February 28th, the IMF Executive Board approved the third review under the EFF arrangement for Sri Lanka, and this provided the country with immediate access to $334 million of support. So Zulfi, yes, once the board approved that third review, the $334 million was made available to Sri Lanka to support its economic policies and reforms. And with this $334 million, it brings total financial support from the IMF to Sri Lanka to $1.34 billion US. What I can also add is that reforms in Sri Lanka are bearing fruit. The economic recovery is gaining momentum. Inflation remains low in Sri Lanka. Revenue collection on the fiscal side is improving, and international reserves are continuing to accumulate. Economic growth reached 5% in 2024, and that was after 2 years of economic contraction. And we do expect the recovery to continue in 2025 in Sri Lanka. These are all very positive developments for Sri Lanka and for the people of Sri Lanka. All of this said, the economy still does remain vulnerable, and therefore it is critical that the reform momentum be sustained to ensure that macroeconomic stability and debt sustainability are durably achieved.
Riding the Indian Wave, world's 5th largest economy on Sri Lanka's shores, hosted by Verite Research, was held in Colombo today.
Hosted by Verite Research in collaboration with the High Commission of India in Sri Lanka, the conference explored how Sri Lanka can strategically leverage its proximity and connectivity to India, an emerging global economic powerhouse, to enhance exports, attract investments and drive sustainable economic recovery.
Our committed focus is on research and innovation-driven manufacturing to propel Bharat to the ambitious target of $30 trillion with export portfolio of $10 trillion by 2047. These are not numbers about India. These are numbers about Sri Lanka. These are numbers about our neighborhood. And therein lies in these numbers the opportunities we are talking about today. It is with same hope and confidence We stand ready for an ambitious and reformed free trading agreement under the Economic Technology and Cooperation Agreement with Sri Lanka. Maritime trade and connectivity logistics is an important bulwark of growth and prosperity in the Indian Ocean region, which belongs to all of us. I must mention that over 75% of India's trade is dependent on the maritime routes, and therefore the maritime trading and logistic opportunities from Indian economy targeting to reach $20 trillion are immense. Sri Lanka plays at a geostrategic location and at the shores of an ambitiously targeting 30 trillion economy. Opportunities for Sri Lanka are abound. There is a fundamental value in our integrating ports and logistics fairways between our two countries and others in the region.
Indian investors and companies have significant opportunities to participate in Sri Lanka's growth story across multiple industries. Our two countries are already deeply engaged economically, but clearly there remains tremendous scope to do even more together. For Sri Lanka, partnering with India's industrial might can significantly boost our own industrialization drive. Our vision of development is ultimately about people. At its core, the partnership between India and Sri Lanka is not just about numbers and economics, but about enriching the lives of our citizens. The bonds between our people run deep, born of geography, history, culture, and consistent friendship over generations.
The conference, quote-unquote, riding the Indian wave, world's fifth largest economy on Sri Lanka's shores, paves the way to explore opportunities for Sri Lanka to leverage its strategic location close to main shipping routes in the Indian Ocean and its proximity to India for economic advancement through enhanced trade, investment and regional collaboration.
The International Foundation for Electoral Systems, in collaboration with the National Election Commission of Sri Lanka and the Government of Australia as key partners, launched the Support Her Run advocacy campaign in Colombo today.
Support Her Run campaign is a landmark initiative designed to create a safer and more equitable political environment for women candidates in the lead up to Sri Lanka's local government elections. It will feature digital advocacy efforts, grassroots mobilization and high-profile endorsements from political leaders, civil society and gender equality advocates. The event was attended by Minister of Women and Child Affairs, Saroja Savitri Paul Raj, Australian High Commissioner to Sri Lanka and several other guests.
Around the world, in Australia and here in Sri Lanka, women in politics face alarming levels of online abuse, harassment and disinformation. This online abuse can include smear campaigns, harassment and threats. This is an issue of safety, it is an issue of human rights, and it is an issue of democracy. When women are silenced or pushed out of politics, it is not just women who are affected, it's all of society. Support Her Run is about changing this reality. It is about equal opportunity. This campaign will challenge online hate and disinformation against women candidates. It will amplify the voice of women leaders and recognise their contributions. No country can meet its development goals without ensuring that everyone, women and men alike, can reach their full potential, and no woman should need to choose between her safety and her right to lead.
The launch brought together a diverse group of stakeholders, including representatives from the Australian High Commission, women parliamentarians, members from political parties, election officials, gender activists and journalists. The Support Her Run campaign goes beyond merely raising awareness. It aims to take decisive action to ensure women candidates can contest elections without fear of harassment or abuse.
Recognizing excellence in payment technology, the Lanka Pay Technovation Awards 2025 took place in Colombo.
The Lanka Pay Technovation Awards, the country's first and only awards dedicated to payment technology innovation, brought together industry leaders, financial experts and innovators to celebrate groundbreaking advancements in digital transactions. Notable guests included Governor of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka, Dr. Nandalal Veerasinghe, Deputy Minister of Digital Economy, Engineer Ranga Veeraratna, Chief Advisor to the President on Digital Economy, Dr. Hans Vijay Surya, and Deputy Minister of Finance and Planning, Dr. Harshana Surya Peruma.
The digital age has brought with its countless opportunities to improve how we live, work, and transact. From artificial intelligence and blockchain technologies to the rising trend of digital wallets and mobile payments, we are witnessing a massive shift in the global digital payments landscape. Sri Lanka is no exception. And in fact, we have positioned ourselves as an emerging hub of technological innovation with dynamic startups and forward-thinking organizations leading the charge. We have introduced a brand new award for this year's award as the 14th category of awards to recognize the government institutions who excelled in promoting and accepting digital payments via GovPay.
The awards aim to recognize the pioneers of technological innovations in Sri Lanka's financial services sector.
Sri Lanka has set itself an ambitious goal to uplift the digital economy from its current value of around $3 billion or approximately 3% of the GDP by 5x, a multiplier of 5 times, to a value of close to 15 billion or above, representing approximately 15+% of the economy by 2030. So it is not an incremental change. The ambition is radical, the ambition is audacious. And it is clear that when you have an audacious ambition and a target which represents a 5x growth in what we are doing here today collectively, it means that we have to do things differently. It means that we have to address this challenge collectively. And I think when we look at such a leap in terms of the momentum, in terms of the throughput of the digital economy, there are 2 key dimensions that I would direct your attention to. One is that such a leap in momentum cannot be achieved without an aggressive approach to inclusion. Secondly, that such a leap in momentum cannot be achieved without attention, belief, embracing of the concept of an ecosystem.
The event honors banks, non-bank financial institutions, government bodies and fintechs that have consistently contributed to the promotion of digital payments, enhancing customer convenience.
The Island Climate Initiative officially launched GP Certified, Sri Lanka's first certification mechanism for high-quality recycled plastics yesterday.
In a significant step towards sustainable plastic waste management, the Island Climate Initiative, or the ICI, officially launched GP Certified, Sri Lanka's first certification mechanism for high-quality recycled plastics in Colombo yesterday. The GP certification provides recyclers with clear industry guidelines to ensure plastics are recycled to higher standards under safe, ethical and environmentally responsible conditions. This means FMCG companies can confidently and safely use recycled plastics in their packaging, supporting a more sustainable circular economy. The launch event brought together stakeholders, recyclers, policymakers and environmental advocates to introduce the future of sustainable packaging in Sri Lanka.
The newly constructed Japanese-funded Emergency Waiting Area, or EWA, at the Kalutara South Police Station to Sri Lanka Police was opened today.
Akio Isamata, Ambassador of Japan, and the UNFPA Sri Lanka representative handed over the newly constructed Japan-funded Emergency Waiting Area, or the EWA, at the Kalutara South Police Station to Sri Lanka Police, marking another crucial step in strengthening Sri Lanka's response to gender-based violence. This initiative ensures that survivors receive the protection, dignity and support they deserve when seeking assistance from law enforcement authorities. The Emergency Waiting Area in Kalutara South joins a growing network of operational EWAs across Sri Lanka, including Jaffna, Mirihana, Pudukurepu, Nurelia, Mundalam, Batiklo and Kandy, where over 4,000 women and children received support in the last year alone. Anyone in need of assistance from the Police Women and Children's Bureau is encouraged to contact the hotline at 109.
A media briefing was held today at the historic Tamil Union Cricket and Athletic Club to announce a series of events planned to celebrate the club's 125th anniversary.
President of the Tamil Union Cricket and Athletic Club Ramesh Shafter, the club's patron Chandra Shafter, club officials, members of the media and other guests attended the media briefing.
We had the first cricket stadium in Sri Lanka. We were the first club to have a proper cricket stadium until the 70s, and even later nobody else had a proper cricket stadium. This meant that all international matches or matches from visiting teams could only be played at the Oval. We now have a surfeit of international grounds in this country, and when one realizes that only 2 test matches will be played for this whole year in Sri Lanka, we see that we are going to have far too many grounds, and in fact it looks as if test cricket will cease to exist. The Tamil Union therefore has to remodel itself for T20 and 50 over matches at international level.
The first test match ever played in Sri Lanka played at the Colombo Oval. The first test victory ever in Sri Lanka at the Colombo Oval. Muthai Muralidharan with his 800 wickets. Rangana Herat also from the Tamil Union. So we have a rich cricketing tradition and a rich cricketing contribution even now. Even today we run a hostel with about 10 outstation cricketers who reside here because we nurture and foster cricket. We have several players in the national side who are from Tamil Union. And we intend to have cricket coaching camps where we will bring outstation cricketers here and give them high-level training, where they will be coached by some of these stars of yesterday. People like Murali, people like Suranga, people like Upul.
The anniversary celebrations will feature a range of events including cricket tournaments, training camps, exhibitions and community service initiatives.
And that's a wrap of Primetime News for tonight.
Thank you for watching.
Good night.